Live from iRacing's virtual Bristol Motor Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the boosted night race at Bristol. The Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series playoffs roll on as the round of 16 comes to a close tonight. We will send 4 drivers home and know the 12 that will continue on their quest to get the Full Throttle Cup in 2022. Hello everybody, as always, happy to have you with us on a Monday evening alongside myself, Evan Pasoko, joined as always by both Nolan Rempel and Terry Radford upstairs in the RaceSpotTV booth. Our producer is Joshua Lee, and Nolan, 2 winners. So we already know that Danson and King have been able to lock themselves into the round of 12. Best I can give you for the other 14 is good luck. Bristol is a fickle foe, and man, is this a tough race to land on an elimination night.
Especially with these new Gen 7 cars. That has really been the theme so far across so many leagues that I've been seeing throughout this weekend, even the official races. These cars do not like this track, and the drivers, it seems like they're vice versa either. It's a much lower field count than we're used to seeing. It's not going to be, the full 43 cars we received even just a couple of weeks ago, but that doesn't mean we're still not going to be in for one heck of an entertaining race. The lap times, just under 15 seconds. You got 250 of those with over 30 drivers still out there on the race course. You know that means we're always going to have somebody side by side somewhere, whether that be with lead lap traffic or with cars a lap down. That's where the real challenge is going to be tonight.
It's going to feel like a long race as well. We take a look at your playoff standings coming into tonight, and we really got to look down. I would say from position 7 on back, you're not all that safe, Terry, but realistically, we're looking at kind of 10th on, right? The drivers on the outside looking in. Ross Cato, 1 point out. Sean Casto, 2 points out. Wetmore -8. Burke, of course, missed the race at Darlington. He is the lowest ranked driver coming into tonight, 14 points back. They're all chasing Michael Johnson. He is our bubble driver at 2,040 points. Bowie, 7 to the good. Lariah and Horn, 13 and change. Freenosh, 14 to the good. Nieto, 15 to the good. And then when you get up to Harris, Silver, and those drivers, they're in the 20 pluses. They would need a really bad night to fall back down there. But again, it's Bristol. It's hard to get through this kind of a race in one piece.
Yeah, and Michael Johnson actually knows what he needs to do. He just needs to run well, finish very well, and he comes out here so far in qualifying. He's sitting P2. So the 39 machine has stood up to the task, and now we have to see, can you make 250 laps around here? You alluded to it, Nolan, that we don't have the 43 car field that we're used to seeing here, and that's actually a good thing for a guy like Johnson, because he can't lose a whole lot of points if he struggles, and lap traffic could also not play a factor in this event either.
Yeah, the majority of the field on the grid here tonight, 29 cars total, are going to be represented amongst those playoff cars, and there's a couple of drivers looking to bounce back, obviously. It's been a rough round for the likes of, Casto and Wetmore have had some poor results. We referenced Bradley Burke, of course, missed that opener. The catch-all is it doesn't matter where you are of those drivers ranked 3rd through 16th coming into this race. Nolan, a race win means you move on to the round of 12, no questions asked.
And of course, that means that all of these drivers that are in these dire situations are going to be wanting to go after that race win no matter what happens. If you get that win, you're locked in. So you got to make sure you're on top of the pedestal when that checkered flag falls. It's a high order, though. I mean, we've talked about it before. Bristol has its own unique challenges. It is called the last great Coliseum for a reason. High banks, high speeds. Very top-line heavy racetrack, though, as it would seem so far. A lot of people would assume, no, the bottom is the way to go, but so far from what I've been seeing, that outside lane still as powerful as ever, but especially later in the runs, that's going to favor those drivers that love to run that top side, assuming we get that long green flag stint.
And we talk about this racetrack specifically, the lap time so short as you take a live look in on the KaylaSynthetics.com qualifying leaderboard. Terry, driver's going to be running in the 15-second bracket pretty much all night long, so lap traffic is going to come quick. To Nolan's point, you're going to be side by side with people a lot. Pit stops, whether under green or under yellow, going to be consequential because the pit lanes here acting as a single pit road tonight. So not only is the racing surface itself a challenge, but there's all those other unique things about Bristol that can cause problems.
There's everything about Bristol that can cause problems. You'll get loose off the exit of the corners. You haven't really seen it with the next-gen car as much, but you get up in the wall. While it would have been in the Gen 6 car, would have been a catastrophic event. You can tap the wall a little bit here, but it's just going to scrub your speed down just a tad bit. But no surprise to me, Matt Danson comes out here. Called me out after saying last week that I was surprised that he was leading and about to win the race, but there's a lot that could play into factor here. Strategy could become the big be-all end-all at the end of this race.
It really could, and we're going to be, of course, seeing who can survive to get to the end of this one. We always say the round of 16 has that lowest bar, right? You don't necessarily need the wins in the top fives. If you could average a top 10, a top 15 car each race, it should be enough to continue your hopes. But again, a lot of drivers have dug themselves a hole over the course of the first two races. Again, it was Kevin King winning the round opener at the Darlington Raceway, and then last week at the Kansas Speedway, it was Matt Danson. So both of those drivers, 5-time race winners this year, and they are both locked in to the round of 12. Tonight we'll find out the other 10 drivers that join them, and so happy that you're going to be joining us here tonight for the boosted night race at Bristol. So qualifying has drawn to a close, so let's get set to get this one underway. Head down trackside and we take a look at your K-List Synthetics starting grid from Bristol. To talk about drivers trying to play spoiler, well, how about the dominance from Matt Danson trying to back up his race win from a week ago, and he is on pole with a 14.649, and he will bring us to the green flag alongside the highest running non-playoff driver, William Schmidt, in second. Then it's playoff cars through the rest of the top six, including Cody Harris in third, Michael Johnson in fourth, Brandon Bowie fifth, and Brandon 6 in P6.
It's going to put Andrew Freenosh down in 7th place, with Nick Silver tied with him for that row 4 spot. Sean Casto sits in 9th with Connor Horn rounding out the top 10. Just over 10th of a second back is Chris Rabel with San Vieto in 12th.
We look back here to 13th. You got Riley Grant Davis with Ross Cato to his outside. Bradley Burke and Christian Maltrak round out your top 16 with Michael Laraya and Gary Sexton at your top 18.
Eric Stanford is going to be back in the number 19 spot tonight alongside with David Kolb, and then Agnell Phillip with some work to do, 21st alongside Eric Papanow. Brandon Fetter place Braden Whitaker through row 12.
Harry Grindle is going to be in 25th with Tom Morano in 26th. Dylan Jones is 27th with Tom Wetmore in 8th. Brian Chambliss rounds out the 29-car field from Bristol.
So look top to bottom at your KaylaSynthetics.com starting grid. You take a look at some of the past winners recently here in the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series. First thing that jumps off of the page, 5 races we're looking at, 5 different race winners, but Brandon 6, I think the big one to look at. He has won here at Bristol in the past. A little bit of a caveat of that one, of course, is that happened on the dirt back in April. So what will these next gen cars do on the high banks of the concrete? We take a look at some of the track conditions for tonight's race. Tonight's race also going to be 250 laps in distance. That comes out to about 133.25 miles, assuming and this one gets settled in regulation. And anytime we're racing on a high banked half-mile short track like this, that can always be called into question. Enjoy those race cars right now, because they are not going to look that pretty in about 2 hours time. We're happy that you're with us on RaceSpotTV. Lights out on top of the pace car and field in the hands of last week's winner, the number 38 Chevrolet of Matt Danson. Pace car down and away as we say, let's go playoff racing at Bristol. And from the pole position, Matt Danson able to lead the opening handful of laps in single file early inside of your top 9.
And so far, single file for just about everybody throughout the top 10 so far. San Nieto looking on the top shelf, trying to get around Sean Casto, though, and make up the spot to cling on to that top 10 position. But so far, Casto doing a great job on holding that bottom line. You also saw Friedrich make up a spot as well on Brandon Bowie as the 88 car starts to work his way up through the field.
Yeah, a lot of these drivers are a guy like Sam Nieto, he's ran a lot of laps here. And I'm sure that's the case for Matt Danson, William Smith, Cody Harris. NIS, we ran 500 laps around this place. So for a lot of these drivers, as they go 3 wide casually back here from Nieto on back. But they ran a lot of laps, a lot of times, and these next-gen cars have just been kind of sticky to that outside groove. The bottom lane's just not being necessarily preferred as you see the 52 go up to the outside there.
Saw a lot of this last Tuesday night with the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series and some of the other major events here on the service. Drivers using the outside early to be able to get the run off of those 30 degrees of banking. But as the run gets deeper and deeper inside, not a terrible option. And look at the 52 with Sean Casto. He's able to win out in that battle for the number 8 spot. Now Bowie going to find a challenge from the 67 of Horn. As always, you'll be able to identify who's in, who's out by both looking at the cars and by looking at our KaylaSynthetics.com leaderboard. All playoff cars will have those red stripes on the windshields and the spoilers. They'll also be highlighted in red on the left-hand side there on time and scoring. Drivers highlighted in purple, already locked in to the round of 12. That's why you see race leader Matt Danson in that different shade on the top spot, as this group that we're watching from 4th on back continues to fight and allow those top 3 to pull away. Still Danson, Schmidt, Harris, 1, 2, 3.
And when you look at how big the dirty air is at a track like this and how much being side-by-side affects you, in just 12 laps, he has pulled out a 5-second lead almost on Johnson, a 2-second lead on Cody Harris, who was also collecting these guys. But Harris, after he broke through, he's pulled a 2-second gap on this pack as well. It is an astronomical difference that this already makes. As a matter of fact, Matt Danson is already over half a lap in front of your last place runners on the racetrack.
You know, that happens in a blink of an eye here. You bobble, you get stuck in traffic for just a split second, and the crowd goes by you. You're going to sit here, you're going to lose a ton of time, which is why, Evan, when you alluded to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, you saw a lot of those drivers that finished in the top 3. Well, they started in traffic here in the early portion of the run. They took tires, they went. So strategy and playing a little bit of gamble here where we could get an early caution. You come down, you take tires. The rest of the field's not going to. They're going to try to preserve them as much as possible and not come down because, well, theoretically, you can make 100 laps on fuel around here very easily. So this, like I said, strategy is going to play a big key here in this race.
Yeah, if we were to see a green flag run, you can expect some drivers to get as many as 180 laps out of a run on fuel. Looking off in the back of Gary Sexton. He's now the 3rd highest non-playoff car, up 11 positions in 7th on the racetrack right now. And looking back at that battle between Johnson and Kolb. Of course, Johnson came into tonight in that very precarious position. As we referenced, he was the bubble car entering this afternoon's race, only 1 point clear of Ross Cato. Well, Cato running back in 17th, so even though Johnson has lost 5 from the get-go, could be worse. And you take a look at the live standings, top right of your screen, Johnson, Bowie tied for the final spot in, Casto dropping down, courtesy of where he runs right now on the racetrack.
Yeah, Sean Casto tied up right in the middle of this thick packed cars at the moment. He can't get around Brandon Whitaker, but he has not been able to break away from Brandon Bowie behind him. He's going to make an effort to the inside line now, but it's not going to help him out at all because the 04 is going to use that outside lane to pull around the outside line and keep the 52 at bay. It is almost impossible once you get up to speed to actually make a pass around that inside line. You got to rely on your opponents really messing up bad or being a way older tires than you if you want that inside line to work for a pass later on in this race.
Our producer brought up a good point. Tom Wetmore no-show here in this race. So we can say that one's eliminated. We're fighting. 3 drivers are fighting for these spots here. So we're going to see, can Burt, Cato, Casto, Bowie, Johnson, which one of those drivers is going to stay in this position? Who's going to be better than the other? And if you look right here between Casto, Bowie, and all those drivers, well, Michael Johnson's not too far ahead of them. They could potentially, you know, we could get a caution flag, and we could see them potentially back him up in traffic, do something a little bit different. And also, William Schmidt's not letting Matt Danson get away here.
He is not. He is keeping him honest. I talked about that those top 3 were pulling away. Danson really unable to pull away from Schmidt. There's your onboard look with the driver of the number 79 Chevrolet. William Schmidt, of course, not a playoff competitor, trying to play spoiler for Keep It Real Esports 2, the driver out of Camarillo, California. And already you can see in front of both he and Danson, lapped cars on the horizon. They are already starting to catch him some 26 laps in to this 250 lap race.
That car that they're about to lap here is Tom Morano, who will be the first driver to go 1 lap down, save for Tom Wetmore, who has still not taken it to the racetrack. Danson will have to make quick work of the 42 because William Schmidt has been steadily closing in that gap. And now, as Danson looks to the inside, he might lose a 10th or 2 here just trying to get around the number 42. He's clear, though, off of turn 2. Now William Schmidt going to do the same. Look to the inside off of 4. Gap last time by the line was 0.537. This time by the line between your top 2. It's actually gone up. Danson was able to make quick work, just like it's predicted. Up by another 600ths of a second then on Schmidt.
And Danson's driving this like the old Bristol, like what you would see back when Earnhardt, Gordon, and Wallace were racing one another. He's wrapping that bottom very nice and holding it around there, not really jerking the wheel too much, not scrubbing any speed off the tires, just being as flat as possible through the corners. When you see back here in this mess, you got Connor Horn, Brandon Fetterplace, all these drivers are right on top of one another, and you're trying to take it 3 wide at some point in time. You see Papineau back here, the 34 machine of Bowie, he's involved in all this, and this could be detrimental. If one bobble happens in these corners, especially at a sweeping track like Bristol, you could take the 52 completely out of this, and Castro would be eliminated from the playoffs because this is an unforgiving racetrack and a very unforgiving surface. As you start to see drivers slip and slide, we're only 32 laps in. They got to pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah, so far so good, but anytime you get this much side-by-side action, you are always at risk of running into trouble, and all it takes is somebody to get into the outside wall, get a little bit loose, as about a handful of those cars did there on the exit at turn number 4, and you can find yourself in some trouble. I mean, all these cars are some 11 seconds off of the race lead, but again, so close to one another, they're tighter than they really were off of the restart. The 04 car, Whitaker, seems to be backing some of the drivers on the outside up. That's despite the fact that Whitaker's gained 7 through the night. But, you know, the 70 behind him had to check up, go to the inside, so Grindel's trying to look for a way by. Here comes a playoff driver, the number 44, Michael Laraya, the Sim Speed Shop Chevy. He's trying to go to the very outside and will find a spot on top. And look at that, as soon as he got above the 04, took off like a rocket ship. So maybe Whitaker burned up some of his stuff too early, gaining those 7 spots because he's getting eaten alive right now. Grindel going to pass as well, and I think Sam Nieto going to be shortly thereafter. There goes the 2 car to the outside.
I think you hit the nail on the head there with Braden Whitaker, because you don't gain up 7 spots in 30 laps at Bristol and then manage to hang on to that later on in a run. It is absolutely hurting his run here, and hopefully he'll be able to get that yellow flag that he needs just to get himself some fresh tires for the time being. Still side by side a bit further up the road as Bradley Berg and Brandon Six both try to look high around Michael Johnson to break their way up into the top 10. Dylan Jones trying to fend all of them off for 9th place just up the road. Dylan Jones himself is about to be eaten alive here. He started at 27th and is already up to 9th, but you can see, just like Bradley Berg, he's being sucked back quickly.
Well, we saw this with Ray Alfala Tuesday night, where he drove through the field rather quickly in the early portion, got it as high as P3, and then just got ate up by the competition because he burned the tires up, was trying to go hard in the paint very early. There's not a there's a good bit of fall off, but not a ton of fall off when it comes to losing grip here. Yes, you start to lose some speed if you burn the right rear up, or you'll lose grip if you burn the right rear up. You'll get a little tighter if you burn the right front up. But you're not losing mechanical grip across the board, as you see Nick Silver get right there on the back bumper of Dylan Jones. You're going to continuously hold some speed. I mean, they're only a second off if you look at what Cody Harris is doing, who got past William Smith for second. Well, he ran a 15.1 was his best. He's running 16 flats now. He's one of the fastest drivers on the field.
Something to be said about conserving your equipment, and it has been a great start to the postseason for Nick Silver, by the way, 4th at both Darlington and Kansas. So 2 of his 6 top 5s this season have come in the last 2 weeks. So real impressive stuff for the driver for Keep It Real Esports. 3 wide up the road as Tom Morano is going a lap down the Sletton Construction at 45, going to hold the very outside and force all of these race leaders from David Kolb and Brandon Six battle on back to kind of funnel down to the inside. They did so. Thought maybe Lariah was looking to the outside to force it 3 wide. He does not, but tell you what, they look like reindeer pulling Santa's sleigh right now, 2 by 2 and right on each other in formation as the battle for positions 8 on back continues.
Look at Lariah looking way up to the outside line. I think he is trying to find a way to make it 3 wide just to pick up that spot, but he's going to have to get around some of the extra lap traffic here, or excuse me, lead lap traffic in the form of Eric Stanford, who has been starting to lose a bit of ground back to your current race leaders. And now we are going to go 3 wide. Lariah way to the top shelf, and he's clear by the time they hit turn 3.
That's a bold move, and it looked like he touched the wall just a tad bit there in that 44 machine, but not a whole lot. These next-gen cars with a composite body allows you to get away with a little bit more than what you're, not necessarily supposed to get away with here at Bristol. But he's moving through the field, and I started looking at what he was kind of doing when it came to running the outside, being a little bit more conservative when it came to the tires. His lap times have not fell off as much either. Everybody else is a 1.5 seconds off. He's just a single second. Now, granted, he's running the tippy-tip top of this racetrack and is carrying more momentum down the front and the back straightaway, but he necessarily wasn't burning crazy lap times off in the initial portion of this run. And for him to go 3 wide and to make it stick and continuously make it stick is just showing you that he's doing amazing. And no, there's Nick Silver, by the way. He's trying to take it out on the outside. Playoff time was the right time for the 4 machine.
Funny enough, he's actually one of 2 drivers who has had that much consistency. 3 make it. I mentioned Silver's finished 4th in both playoff races, while Cody Harris has finished 5th in both, and Agno Phillip has finished 2nd in both. They are the only drivers of the top 5 in both of the playoff races to open this round of 16, and no surprise, given that consistency, they're running up front. And speaking about Agno Phillip on the move, trying to make some moves. Here's a look at Andrew Freenosh, guys. The defending 4-time series champ, 14 to the good, seems to be poised to points his way in, but only 1 race win so far for the 88 car. If he's going to get a championship at Phoenix later this year, he's going to need to find a little bit more out of the Battle Beaver Ford right now. Looking for a little more in the battle for 3rd on the inside of William Schmidt. Schmidt's going to do a good job of making it difficult on the top side. Not quite clear yet. Should get him in 3 and 4.
Freenosh, though, is one of those drivers that we know can be good on the long runs, and that's why he's making good use of that inside lane here. I mentioned before, you had to make sure that you had yourself some better worn tires than the guys in front of you, or if you want to make that inside lane work. Clearly, Freenosh got the memo with his tire-saving strategy as now he promotes himself up to 3rd place. Still battling down behind as Gary Sexton gets a bit out of shape and nearly slams the outside wall in 1 and 2. Connor Horn trying to go with him to the inside, and Lariah still trying to work his way up through the field as well.
Yeah, Lariah is doing a really good job here, just managing the car, managing the track. This track is going to change. It's inevitable that once these drivers start to roll the bottom, start to get the middle going, get the high lane going, rubber's going to start to lay down here on this track, and you're going to build tight. And when the nighttime gets, you're going to build loose. It's just going to continuously change. The track's going to do a lot of different things. And it kind of stinks that we didn't go on the concrete surface before, but the dirt was really fun. Oh no, caution's out. Oh,
a
Bowie did
handful
it.
of cars, and the 25 has got a big piece of that one. So what happened? Brian Chambliss, one of the drivers involved, and let's slow it down and take a look back. Looks like he was a late addition to this one. Let's watch up the road, dancing, and oh, maybe a touch there with the 34 car of Bowie, who just kind of shot to the outside and then took the 0-2. Dylan Jones, Grindle, and Chambliss with him.
So a strange incident there for Brian Chambliss to get involved with that one. I think he just locked it up, trying to avoid this whole mess, because he wasn't hit by anybody into this. In fact, that was the case. But you can see that pretty much clogged the entire racetrack. Jones is trying to go, but he can't go anywhere because he's got Brandon Bowie trying to refire in his way. Right there's a little bit of a scraping up into the outside wall. You can already see right front on Brandon Bowie's car is destroyed. At least this time, though, it was destroyed in an accident and not just seemingly on a whim, as we saw so many times in the Cup race this past Saturday.
Ouch. Maybe Bowie will get that fixed. I see the 25 not coming down pit lane there. I think they are a lap down, so they'll pit here a little bit later. But man, that is that's tough for a playoff guy, because now he's got to sit here and kind of pull the Ryan Blaney approach, or the Austin Cindric approach, where you come down and you have to just potentially just ride this out, and you have to hope that other playoff drivers have some issues, which, I mean, we still got a little under 200 laps to go, so issues are going to find them. Trust me, it's Bristol. It's going to happen.
And cars down pit road. Dancing going to be the first off amongst your race leaders. It was a bit of a sneak peek there at your single pit road action. For those not familiar, Bristol does have two distinct pit lanes, one on the front stretch right here, one on the back straightaway, as someone just about spun out trying to get into their stall right there off of turn number 4. But here with the single pit road rule configuration, it acts as one pit lane. So it doesn't matter if you're pitting on the front, you got to drive down both sides and vice versa. So the number 1 pit stall for Dancing gave him the upper hand. Obviously, he's able to maintain the race lead off of pit road. The call seems to unanimously be for 4 tires and fuel. And these drivers have now used up 1 of their 4 additional sets of tires, and we're about quarter of the way through this race, so they're doing all right on that number.
The issue that I think a lot of the drivers are going to be having when it comes to the green flag pit stops, assuming we get any, that is, which honestly at this point might be a bit of a hard-pressed question. If you go down the pit road, because it's a single pit road, right? You enter turn 2, you exit turn 4. That's going to put you at minimum 2 laps down. So you have to take a massive gamble, which is why I think we're going to be seeing a lot of drivers trying to push the fuel runs to the absolute max they can go, not wanting to risk a late caution if they come down pit road and they get trapped those laps down with no way up.
Yeah, I'm not coming down under green, and until that fuel cell says 0, I refuse to come down at a place like this or any short track in general. I just don't trust anybody else.
And they can about make it to the end of the race with 187 left. Let's see how this one continues to play out. Danson chooses the inside line. It's a beautiful jump for the 38 car. Danson to 1.
This time Cody Harris able to break clear. William Schmidt much easier. And now we'll try to run down the Logitech G-Altus Esports number 38 Chevrolet down to the turns 1 and 2. I have a feeling Dance's not going to be able to break out that 4-second gap over a brunt of the field so quickly like he did the first time.
No, I think with Cody Harris, and then you add a new player in Brandon Sick sitting there. Andrew Freenach getting close to this. Agnell Phillip, by the way, yeah, he's just a casual, 15 positions in the top, or 16 positions up in the top 5. Who cares? He's doing his thing, and Nick Silver cracks the top 10 with Connor Horn. But this racing is going to be unique, because every time you get a caution, you start to understand your car better. And now that they all have fresh tires, they're all back together, they're bunched up. While it's not late in the race, it's early, they're probably going to be a little bit more patient. They're not going to be having, bump and runs. You're not going to move a driver out of the way. But as the race progresses, eventually you're going to find yourself in a spot to go, can I overcharge this corner? And I wouldn't be surprised to see a guy like Cody Harris not be in desperation mode, but maybe test some things out. See how far you can drive it into these corners to get up on that backbone for the 38.
Well, you can see Harris is all over him there. Of course, much of this at the detriment of William Schmidt, who was second for much of the early stint in this race. That has trickled down to sixth. It's now playoff cars in the top five. You see the live standings as well on the right-hand side of your screen. Obviously, unfortunate for Brandon Bowie, guys, to be caught in the last incident. Bowie is now 10 laps down, and Bowie is currently sitting 7 points out of advancing to the next round. This would be huge for a driver who has had pretty impressive stats this year, 4 top 5s and 7 top 10s, including a P9 last week.
And Cody Harris makes the jump around the outside, advancing to the race lead. Friedrich gonna follow suit. So Danson, for all the success he's had recently, does not look like he'll be able to contend for that race win just yet. Still a long way to go. We are not even in the triple digits on our lap counts. On board with Andrew Friedrich as he continues to try to close his way up to Cody Harris. Friedrich has found the rhythm, and now he's going to try to see if he can't make something happen on the 28 car while that inside lane is still strong.
Yeah, and while I'm sure Brandon Bowie's, his feelings are probably hurt because he has been one of the most consistent drivers this season, at least he's not a Titans fan. I guess he can kind of take this off, and hopefully he's a Bills fan. Who knows? But
could be worse, is what you're saying.
It could be worse. You could be watching your team get blown out, 24-7. It's about to be 27-7 in Buffalo when it's 67 degrees there. But it's beautiful here in Tennessee, and while we do enjoy our football, at least he could be a Florida fan. And Florida could get blown out this weekend. But Matt Danson, I think, because I owe him one, and I hurt his feelings last week, that Alta C Sports machine looks really good. And I think he's maybe just conserving a little bit. Maybe he burned him up too much.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, early in the run, maybe Danson's going to try to save a little bit for the longer run in this race. Trickle down to third pretty quick after Harris was able to get through, score a bonus point. Of course, Friedrich followed him through, and then he's got 6. Philip Lariah right there behind him. Let's go further on down. Look at the 11 car as the inside is stacking up on one another. David Kolb making the move. Grant Davis going to lose out on a spot. You got Rabel, Burke, Cato back there in this mix as well. All of this going on for about 15th position on back on the racetrack. So Kolb doing a good job of playing spoiler, putting a couple of playoff names behind him as we are now 80 laps in from Bristol, and Cody Harris is pulling away from Andrew Friedrich for the race lead. You jump on board here and watch this battle continue back in traffic. It's Ross Cato, P17.
And Cato having some struggles here as he tries to work his way up and around Chris Rabel, but Cato has to get this done quickly. He is in that championship position, currently 5 points back from Sean Castro. He needs to make up 5 spots if he wants to have a shot in getting himself up and into the round of 12. And at the moment, as he tries to look high around Chris Rabel, he can see that every single lap he's stuck behind Rabel. The other guys start to pull further and further out in front. Meanwhile, Sean Castile, he's just got to make sure he doesn't lose 5 spots from here, and he's going to be all good to go.
Hey, but you look at the non-playoff drivers that's kind of in between this. I mean, you got the top 6 playoff drivers that Schmidt covers out to not make this a lockout in the top 10, and then you got 8 through 11 sitting here as your playoff drivers. But we talked about William Schmidt last week. Just, he doesn't care. He's out here to trophy hunt. I don't think that he really, he has nothing to lose. He's gaining momentum for next season. Obviously, will be in the next gen car next year as well. I would look for him if we're going early playoff predictions for next season. But why not the 79? Obviously, if he returns, he comes back next season to RSR competition. I'm saying that the 79's a lock for the playoffs because he's run well. He's just very consistent, and he can contend with some of these drivers that are always out here winning.
Yeah, the biggest thing that the 79 machine has had to fight against, of course, this year is the fact that he just needed a little bit more earlier, right? I mean, he's made all the starts. He's got the top 10s. In fact, he has more top 10s than a handful of cars that made the playoffs that were the top 5s, right? Those a little bit extra. Capitalizing on a night like this where he's got a good car. He ran in second, but he's fallen to 7th, right? That's going to need to be where that extra step comes from if William Schmidt wants to race and make his way into the postseason next year here in Real Sim Racing. Watching Sean Casto and company do battle. Casto's in 12th at the moment, down 3 from where he started. He's got the one of Gary Sexton all over the back of him, and Connor Horn just got passed up by Eric Stanford in front. So the 52 car going to pounce up to the outside of the racetrack. He wants to beat the 67 while he's down, and through on the outside goes Sean Casto. He'll take P11.
Casto steadily working his way up through this field, still continuing to threaten Chris Rabel's chances on getting into the round of 12. But remember, he's also got to make sure that he doesn't have one of the other guys that can potentially win this race and lock themselves in that way as well. So Casto's got his own threats to deal with. I mean, you got guys still battling it out deeper in the field that aren't even in the playoffs that can put it into all of his hopes here in a hurry. Look at Gary Sexton trying to work his way around Connor Horn just behind him in the fight for 11 and 12. Any one of these guys can cause one of those late race cautions, and that would turn this entire race up on its head. We've seen how desperate drivers can get when it comes to the playoff competitions. I can guarantee you it won't be too long before we see some of these guys trying to make some of those more aggressive moves to try to get themselves into another round.
Look at this iconic battle. In second, I want to mention, Terry, it's Danson and Freenosh. Danson might get the upper hand here as he recharges through the field, but those longtime RSR viewers will remember what the battle between these two was like for the 2021 Winter Series Championship. That went all the way down to the finale. Those are the two very best. It's a treat to watch them.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to see Andrew Freenosh running in the top 3. I know this is going to sound crazy after watching last season to say, man, it's good to see him running top 3. But can he finish there? Can he put this race together? Is there going to be a string of bad luck for the 88 that's going to put him out of this race and put him outside the top 5? But Matt Danson, for him, like sitting here at this moment, he saved his stuff like big time. Like he fell off, kind of did his own thing, dropped back out of the lead, drove out front way too soon. And I think that now he's realized, okay, well, I don't have to be too crazy because I can just catch back up. Kind of what the 67 is doing to Connor Horn, who's starting to make some outside momentum with the rubber starting to lay down there. Connor Horn's doing a really good job of arcing and sweeping these corners from the top to the bottom. And he's making some traction. He is the fastest driver on the racetrack right now.
It's impressive watching him drive by on the outside. William Schmidt going to be, one of the drivers who drops back even further if Connor Horn can get up there. But it's quite a gap, right? Horn's able to get around the number 19 of Eric Stanford. So he now occupies 8th. He'd have to get up to Lariah about a second up the road. And then Schmidt is about 2 seconds up the road. So now let's see. What can he do with a little bit of clean racetrack? Was it a fluke, or does the Smith Sim Racing driver got some speed in it? Look at the 94 Baggett Phillip further towards the front of the field now, having to play some defense. Brandon 6 is there in 5th. William Schmidt, we were just talking about him, he's there as well in P6. It is a 3-way battle for 4, 5, and 6 on track, and it sure looks like Brandon 6 is trying to find a way through.
Certainly does. Brandon 6 looking for the outside of Baggett Phillip. They're going to take full advantage of the fight for 4th place. The 66 car to the outside. Got on the power as soon as he exited 2, and he clears before they even get halfway around 3 and 4. Brandon 6 is up into 4th place, and that is just how quickly you can lose a spot at the Bristol Motor Speedway, and you can obviously be under fire to losing more, as now William Schmidt looking to follow Brandon 6 footsteps. He's going to now run that top side and has to back out, though, to avoid hitting that outside wall.
Yeah, you got to kind of back out here. You don't want to be on the outside and be on the outside of a driver, and right when they go to get back on the throttle, you hear him kind of playing with the throttle there, not want to get loose on the exit, not want to be aggressive with it. It's way too early to be aggressive, but we talked about William Smith falling off just a little bit. Maybe he pulled the Matt Danson approach. I'm going to, kind of be reserved a tad bit, not push too early, as now you see a battle between the 4 and the 39. Johnson doing what he needs to do, boys. He's just sitting there having a quiet night in 11th.
Just doing his thing, making sure that he makes it to the end of this race and just trying to have a consistent outing. Danson continuing to pressure for the race lead. Coverage of this boosted night race at Bristol brought to you by our friends at Boosted. Boosted builds a custom platform for your brand to sell your products, and they'll take care of the whole process. You pay nothing out of pocket, and you can grow your brand while they handle the logistics. Their services include website creation, custom logo design, shipping and handling, customer service, and production. Learn more about them at boosted.biz. That's .biz for more information. Danson trying up top. I think Harris saw that. He went up top, taking it away, and Brandon Bowie, guys, has returned to the racetrack. 49 laps down. Gonna have to try to Cindric his way back into this race by hoping some cars rack out and he can score a few points. A live look shows he is still 7 in the red.
It's not good news so far for guys like Brandon Bowie, who are still struggling to work their way up to the field. We mentioned before, Tom Wetmore's out of the 5. Bradley Berg at this point may as well be in the must-win situation, but he is finding himself running in the bottom half of the field so far the entire race tonight, and he's not going to be able to make anything happen for he's sitting right now all the way back in 18th place. Look at Ross Cato, stuck between Chris Ray and David Cobb. 3 wide up the middle. That's going to be tight. He's going to bobble, I think, make contact with the 11. That was a lucky escape, though.
Oh, man. And every one of us almost had our breath taken away on that one. That was aggressive, but hey, it was fun to watch. Battling people not in the playoffs is going to put you in this position, because now you want to be aggressive. If you're the 12th, you have to be at some point in time. You have to make moves that other people aren't going to want to make or are willing or able to make, because you're in a position that you could miss the playoffs because you're back here. You're not having the night that you necessarily want. You're sitting at 17th. You got Burke right behind you. You have to go. The leader is also coming. You are not that far away. You're about 6 seconds away from going a lap down. And you don't want to do this. You see him swerving back and forth, trying to figure out, can I go to the middle? Can I go to the outside? What can I do to get past the 29 and the 11?
And I'm surprised that that aggressive move by Ross came, of course, from a playoff car. You would think those were the drivers who would not want to take risks, but he came into tonight in the red. It feels like maybe he has to take those risks running down into number 17 spot. Back closer to the front of the field, you can see Agnew Phillips slide down the running order. Has continued. Again, he is still overall your biggest mover. Agnew is plus 14 on the night, but has been struggling a little bit here as of late. Lariah was able to get by him. He's now trying to return the favor. Looking to the inside, Lariah seems pretty content to just play a little bit of zone defense up top, get those runs off of the corner, take that run away, and the chess match for 6th and 7th will continue. What happened with Rabel, the 29 car, slow and on the apron. He's not happy with somebody, and let's take a second look. They're catching up to some lap traffic. I think it's a slow number 20 car up on the outside. That's Brandon Fetter place, and they're going to funnel into 3 wide here. Cobb's going to go to the middle. Oh, and he got a bit of a touch, got into the inside wall. Not happy with Cobb there, Nolan, but Cobb couldn't have gone any higher up the road with the lapped car there.
Yeah, Rabel didn't really leave Cobb a whole lot of room to work with there, and I mean, I'm not quite sure what he was going to do different there. I mean, Cobb's got maybe a couple of feet up to the 20 car. Rabel's the one that's got half a track down to the inside. At the end of the day, it's down to you if you want to make sure that you get a pass done cleanly. That's just not the way to go about it, though. That's going to cause Rabel a lot of position, though, and he did hit that inside wall fairly hard. Have to keep an eye on that 29 car, make sure that damage doesn't materialize further. Remember, that was one of those big things introduced with the new damage model over this last iRacing build. It now takes into effect damage over time. So if he takes too many more hits like that, that could really add up quickly.
That it could, and I'm not very good at math, so I probably couldn't tell you what the math would be of what they're going to do on pit lane. But you see here between that would be Agnell Phillip and the 44 Lariah, you got William Schmidt coming up right behind them. It's a three-way fight for that 5th place position. And now you see the battle for the race lead as they're starting to catch lap traffic. That's a car on the wall. That's the 20th better place. He bounces down, goes to the inside, moving out of the leader's way. They've caught the 29 now, so they've got to the back bumper of this machine. And I'm very impressed with Cody Harris so far in this race. And the fact that, one, he's matching lap times here. He's leading the race. He's dictating this race. He's being as much as possible here.
And as that 28 car is still trying to hang on to the race lead with pressure from Danson, we are past halfway in the boosted night race at Bristol. Let's take a look top to bottom as we watch the battle for the race lead and talk about our KaylaSynthetics.com leaderboard. So Harris has led the last 57, now 58 laps of this race. After starting to back in 3rd, he is your race leader ahead of Matt Danson, who led the opening 70. Danson scored in 2nd, is the only other car to have led a lap so far here tonight, and they're making their move on lapping Rabel now. 2.5 seconds back, Andrew Freenosh is in a race-high P3 in a good battle with Brandon 6, who sits in 4th. Michael Lariah is 5th. Agnell Phillip is 6th. Those are all playoff cars. William Schmidt, highest of the non-playoff drivers, running in 7th position at the moment. Nick Silver is scored in 8th. Connor Horn, playoff car, 9th. Michael Johnson, playoff car, rounds out our top 10.
Eric Stanford kicks it off at 11th place, knocked out of the playoffs with Sean Castill in 12th, still in dire straits along with San Vieto. They want to try to get themselves up into playoff contention. Gary Sexton is one of those drivers that is out of the fight. He runs in 14th. Ross Cato, though, he is also struggling to make his way up with ground. He sits now in 15th place after he just witnessed Chris Rabel go into that inside wall. Grant Davis is just behind him in 16th place with the likes of Bradley Burke in 17th. After you see he's trying to run down David Cobb. They're the last cars on the lead lap. First car lap down is going to be now Chris Rabel with that left front damage. Eric Papineau rounds out the top 20.
You got Brian Chambliss back here in 21st, Harry Grindell in 22nd, Braden Whitaker in 23rd, Brandon Fetter placed in the 20 machine in 24th, Brandon Bowie, your playoff driver, back there in 25th after contact in the wall. And then you got Christian Maltrek, Dylan Jones, Tom Morano, and Tom Wetmore is the bottom of the list.
And that's a look top to bottom at your Kayla Synthetics midway race break. Kayla Synthetics is an independent dealer of AMSOIL lubricants serving the United States and Canada, providing custom engine lubrication solutions to all types of customers, from private individuals to race teams, hauling fleets, and everything in between. They have the products and expertise to help you save time and money. Dealer number 300711815. 114 laps to go at iRacing's virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. You're watching the boosted night race, the final race of the round of 16, as these full throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series playoffs continue. Myself, Evan Pasoko, with Nolan Rempel, Terry Radford upstairs, our director Josh Abelie bringing us to you. Only one yellow to this point in the race. And again, when we came down pit road under that yellow, we were a little bit tight on the fuel window, guys. So if this green flag run can continue, things will get interesting. We're on the longest run of the night.
Longest run so far of the night, but now that you said that, that's going to come to a crashing end here, no pun intended, very, very quickly, I would imagine. So far, though, it has been an excellent race. You've still been getting these battles up and down throughout the field as you look at Gary Sexton. He's trying to fend off Grant Davis, who's going to get to the back bumper, nearly going for the bump and run down to the turn number 1. Figured it was only a matter of time before that sort of thing started to kick off, and Grant Davis not willing to give Sexton any room.
Yeah, he's not giving him any room at all, and that's it's two non-playoff drivers not really caring who's behind them. And now that you got Cato in the 12 right there, we've seen how aggressive the 12 wants to be. And obviously, yeah, he's 3 points off of Casto. So the fact that now you could potentially see that 12 machine go, hey, I'm in a little bit desperation mode here. Even though you don't have to be. 100 laps goes, by rather quickly if we keep the green flag rolling. He might get a little aggressive on the back bumper that one.
And Brandon Bowie, by the way, who was 7 back from Casto, is only 5 back now. I believe Bowie has made up all the spots that he can, having passed Malcherik and Jones. Of course, if anybody were to wreck out of this race in the next 50 laps, he'd have a chance to get to them. But this thing seems like it's really going to come down to, can Sean Casto hold where he sits in 12th? And what can Cato do to possibly spoil that? Of course, looking at Phillip and company as the battle for 5, 6, 7 all rolls on. Cody Harris has been able to weather the Matt Danson storm. He is 0.6 of a second up now on the 38 car. So Danson's dropped back a little bit from your race leader, guys. Cody Harris has now led the most laps of the night. 75 led to Danson's 70. And here's a nice little battle as they come off the corner. Stanford on the fence, trying to carry some speed. He's fighting with Sam Nieto. The big car to look at there, though, that 52 is Sean Casto, your bubble driver in the standings, right ahead of that group.
And that can't be, a good feeling for you as well, knowing that you're like on that bubble spot. You've got a whole group of playoff drivers started to hound you right from behind. You need to make sure that you maintain that composure, try to keep in that rhythm. You get out of the rhythm once, and you will have a hard time getting back into it for at least the next 5, potentially even 10 laps going forward. Still over 100 laps left to go, as I think Phillip just about had a scrape with the outside wall that last time by. Laraya still trying to get ever closer to making up that one more spot. And these are two of the drivers that have really been on the up and up so far all race long. Terry, 17th to 8th for Laraya, 21st to 7th for Agnell Phillip. Meanwhile, Cody Harris trying to get around Gary Sexton right behind him.
This is surprising to me, and we're up to 15 cars. Gary Sexton's obviously, he's going to fight. He has every right to fight on the outside here for the lead lap. Like, he's not just supposed to roll over, and it irks my chain when drivers, as you see the one, he taps the wall there with the 28, getting a little bit, probably a little bit agitated there on the bottom. But it irks my nerves when drivers are racing and they go up to catch the tail end of the lead lap, and they think that the drivers are supposed to pull off for them. It really just, it gets under my skin, because it's their fight. It's their job to fight for the lead lap. It's their job to fight to stay in this race and stay there just in case a caution comes out. But to see these drivers, we went on a very lengthy green flag run, and for Cody Harris and Matt Danson, both of those drivers have stayed within 0.3 of a second of each other the entire time, and I don't see that changing. I see us just, this continuously becomes the battle. This might be a classic Earnhardt-Gordon battle here at Bristol.
Yeah, this is a good one. They have been tracking each other down. They have been able to navigate the lap traffic at about the same pace as one another, so it is very even in the battle between these two. You got Eric Papineau looking like he's trying to pass these cars and find a way around them, so he might be a little bit quicker actually on fresher tires, having a bit of lap down, but there he goes, top side again. So you're dealing with cars passing you. You are passing cars, and probably a little bit too close for comfort there. If I'm the 28 machine of Cody Harris, and now 34 car, Brandon Bowie is going to pass him in down on the inside. Bowie, somebody else who's been down pit road more recently, 48 lap old tires compared to 97 lap old tires. So this is not cut and dry, and the traffic now going to give Danson an opportunity, looking to the inside for the lead. Not able to make it stick that time. Was that is one look? We go on board with the 38.
They've caught lap traffic. Eric Stanford up in 15th place, trying to keep these guys at bay. Danson now looking for the outside lane. and thinking about going 3 wide. But Harris going to try to use Stanford as a pick to keep Danson behind him, but with Stanford way on the outside lane, Danson's going to try to push for it, but is going to bobble and have to back out in the last second. So Danson is trying to make a run for that lead. Meanwhile, Brandon 6 hits pit road.
I don't know. I don't know if this is smart. I guess you can call me kind of old schoolish. I honestly would run this thing. As you see, Cato, Cato's coming down. That's even more surprising because why not run this to the end? I don't believe that Matt Danson or Cody Harris is going to come down pit lane here anytime soon. I think that they're going to just continuously ride this thing out. And there's a caution on the horizon. Like, you can feel it. It's Bristol. It's Thunder Valley. Something is going to happen. I don't know. I would have continuously ran this thing to the end. I want to be bone dry before I come down pit lane.
In theory, if the strategy were to play out, pitting now, I think, would be the correct call because you're going to get on the fresh tires sooner, you're going to make up the time. But again, it's Bristol. You're going to go off of the lead lap by a significant margin to get the service. You're going to be dealing with traffic and just, the possibility of an incident, I'll say, is always concerning. On the outside of the racetrack, that is the 24 car of Grant Davis making some moves and going around the outside of Sean Casto. This is a battle for position. It used to be for 11th and 12th, but since we have seen the trip down to the pit lane for a handful of drivers, 6 included, it's now the battle for 10th. So that does give another point in favor of Casto. Would, in theory, lose that back after the pit cycle's completed, guys. But, with Grindle on pit road, Stanford on pit road, I guess that answers the question. 187, the magic number when we restarted this race, seemingly out of range. And these drivers clearly indicating that they're going to have to come down pit road to make it the distance.
That's what I like, though. I like to see drivers taking those risks. It's one of those cases now of how desperate are you to get fuel in that car and get fresh tires on? Are you desperate enough to risk going down 2 laps and then having a yellow flag come out? Look in particular at Brandon 6. He is now 2 laps down with Cody Harris, though, almost on the same straight with him. So he's about 2.5 laps down at the moment. That's a lot of time to make up. Hopefully he'll be able to get that sorted, though. And who knows, maybe the undercut might work. But, of course, if you want to go for an undercut, your fresh tire is going to rely on being in clean air. Bristol says, what clean air? You don't get any with how many cars are on the track here.
Yeah, that's kind of what threw me for a loop is you're going multiple laps
there
down.
We go.
And there it is. And there's the caution. That's what I'm talking about. You can feel it. And it's the 39 of Michael Johnson. Right?
What did I tell you?
You can't. You got to run the dang thing to the end. And it's going to happen eventually here. And now the cautions come out. Playoff drivers included on pit lane. The race is there. And they're battling. It's Agnew Phillip and Michael Johnson fighting here for the 10th place position. And there's 2 playoff drivers going for the same spot. Clears himself, and Michael Johnson, hey, he just really had a caution nobody wanted to see except for the race leader.
It's not good for any of the other playoff cars, and it's really not good for the drivers involved. There's going to be some damage on those cars. Johnson has already claimed responsibility for the incident, and now it's going to be messy sorting out this running order because we'd already seen about 7 or 8 cars come to pit road on this cycle. They are all multiple laps down, mixed in with cars also laps down that aren't there because they pitted. They're just there because Harris and Danson have lapped them. Now, here's the interesting part. We talk about the pit road etiquette here on the single pit road. You enter in 2, you exit in 1. So these cars who qualified up front aren't pitting on this stretch of the pit lane. They got to drive all the way through that backstretch pit road. Now they need to hold pit road speed at 35 miles an hour, stay below that blue line, and then come down to the front half of pit road where they'll actually look for service, guys. And let's keep an eye if Danson can use that number 1 pit stall to get ahead of Harris.
You see how much they were hugging that inside wall, though, because when you're keeping that 35-mile-an-hour speed limit, it is definitely going to be faster. Harris down and into his stall, safe and sound. Same for Danson. Harris is up, at least taking right sides, as is Danson. I'm expecting 4 tires.
Danson missed. Danson was deep into the box, so that's going to take away any chance he had of getting ahead of Cody Harris.
And sure enough, there it is. Harris out in front where Danson can get moving, but he'll at least secure that second place due to Freenos and the others being so far back thanks to all the lap traffic.
I'm honestly... I'm frustrated for some of the drivers because you put yourself in this position, and yes, for some of them, they're able to take the wave around. That's the silver lining in this, is at least they were 1 down, 2 down, because they were kind of in that position regardless. But if you're a playoff driver, I get you want to be off sequence at some point in time. You want to throw a Hail Mary and maybe try to figure something out to pull yourself out of a hole, but that confused me of why you would come down. Why not wait until the race leader comes down? And I know that's stupid because half the time you don't want to follow the leader, but wait until a lot other playoff drivers come in with you. Like if you start seeing Harris, Freenis, Danson, Silver, and one of those multiple drivers come down, yeah, sure, come pit. Because, well, that was the race leaders. You know, you're guaranteed at some point in time to be on the same strategy as them. But why would you come down if you're sitting on the cusp of the top 10 or in the top 10, and now you're on older tires than the field by easily 10 laps, and now you're praying for another caution to happen, and now you have to hope that you're not a part of the caution?
It's tough because, again, like I said, if it had gone green, it's a win. I mean, it certainly plays out in their favor. Without that,
it's Bristol.
It's correct. and that's why I wasn't too surprised that was highly unlikely to happen. So a lot of wave rounds getting caught up here. Field a bit of a jumbled mess towards the rear, but the race car is down and in, and Cody Harris takes the green flag. We are back underway with 75 laps to go, and now we can go the distance. Here comes Freenos, almost clear of Danson. Now the 38 car fights back on the outside.
Luckily, no concern for any of the drivers that, were able to go under that caution flag. They're able to stay out there on the field, but I mentioned you're going to get trapped those laps down. Sure enough, 6 got 1 lap back, but he is still 1 down. So if Brandon 6 wants to fight for the top positions after he was in 3rd, he's going to have to work his way up and by Gary Sexton for the lucky dog spot. Still looking to go side by side deeper the field, but Cody Harris, he's taking off with that race lead. Danson, though, hot on his heels.
Yeah, Matt Danson is there, and this could... Oh, there's another caution.
Oh, no! Again.
And 6. And Burke.
Another incident that takes out playoff drivers. This time, it is a set of 3. Let's take a second look. It'll start with the 95 is hard into the wall there. It looked like 6 is only in it because he got knocked into it checking up, but I think something happened with Burke and maybe Fetter place. Let's see the 20 car. Slower, maybe up on the outside. We saw an issue with lead lap cars trying to get around him, and it looked like Burke kind of didn't decide if he wanted to stay behind him or go to the middle, and he checked it up off the corner, and it just did not give time for 6 to get out of it, and 6 drove into the back of him, and Johnson, with nowhere to go, it evolved on the inside as well.
And Johnson will take the responsibility for that wreck. That makes 2 now that Michael Johnson has, I believe, taken the responsibility for on that one. So that is unfortunate for Michael Johnson. Or excuse me, no, sorry. That was the first incident that he took the responsibility for. It hasn't claimed anything on this second one just yet. So not sure how this is going to pan out for Michael Johnson, if he's going to end up taking the responsibility, because he knows that's a very strict points penalty now if he does.
This is... Remember what I just said? Is now you have to make sure that you're not a part of the wreck. And, you come down pit lane, you're trapped a lap down. A lot of things are going to happen. A lot of things just happened. And these are playoff drivers that are having these issues, and it's not surprising, that we're having these kind of issues here at Bristol, but this many. And luckily for them, that wasn't a whole lot of damage for them to take. So, hey, now they're in a position to where they're going to have fresher tires. While only 3 laps occurred, that's still 3 laps. You could see a little bit of an extra charge, but it's desperation mode because we're coming under 70 to go. Your season's on the line for some of these drivers, and now they got to hope that they get the wave around, they get back on the lead lap, and cautions breed cautions. It's Bristol. We could be here for a minute.
That was going to be my next question, right? I mean, we had done so good, long green flag runs in this race, a 57-lap long green flag run, about a 108-lap long green flag run. Now, 2 yellows within 8 laps of each other. I feel like it may be difficult, Nolan, for this race to get its pace back. And again, it can go quick. I mean, if we get these 69 laps in under green, we're not going to be here for a long time. So if they get going, the pace picks up, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of restarts, and it seems every incident we look at involves some sort of playoff driver. You take a look at the live standings. Bowie's still first one on the outside. It's a 5-point gap. Cato's 7 back, so Johnson is the one hanging on. Burke takes a tumble. Of course, Burke missed that first race at Darlington, so no surprise that he's got some work to do. So there's a lot of drivers whose playoff hopes hang in the balance. Nieto, Horn, they may be just far enough ahead to be safe, but what about the battle from 11th position on back? Lights out on the pace car. Restart going to be coming up this time, and Harris in front of Danson has elected the inside line for the restart. Pace car off and away. Cody Harris takes the green, and again, the challenge will be for second. Freenosh trying to clear the 38 car.
Trying to clear the 38, it just does, but he tank slaps it in the process as he fires it down the back straightaway. Danson's going to have to try to hightail it after him now, but Nick Silver is on the outside, and Silver will clear for third. So Silver trying to run down the 88 car. Freenosh all over the shot, trying to keep 2 lines at bay at the same time, and he's going to maintain that second place for now. Cody Harris hanging on for that race lead.
As you see the battle going on back here a little bit further on back. Playoff drivers, non-playoff drivers starting to fight. You see the 52 trying to stay in there. Agnell Phillips trying to work his way up there. David Cobb doing a great job. So is Grant Davis up here running 9th and 10th at the moment. And what's Agnell Phillips going to do? He's not, he's virtually a lock to make the playoffs now because he's going to go to the next round based off of what he's done so far in the season. But battle for the lead. Here's the 88, Andrew Freenosh. He's working under Cody Harris. And well, anybody surprised with the speed the 88 showing here in this last run?
All of a sudden, Andrew Freenosh is knocking on the door. His race win earlier this year. Another concrete track back at the Monster Mile at Dover in May. But it was an aggressive move on Danson. Slid up on him. Danson drove into the back of the 88. They made significant contact that took them both out of the race, and it allowed Silver to get a bonus spot. So Danson trying to get that bonus spot back to the outside, through and clear of Nick Silver, guys. Playoff drivers now occupying 9 of the top 9 spots and 10 of the top 11. They are rising to the crop and rising to the moment late in this race at Bristol, and look how tight 1, 2, and 3 sit.
It is a tight battle at the moment for the entirety of the top 3. Nick Silver has been losing a little bit of touch up to these top groupings over the last couple of laps, but he's still sticking with them. These guys make a mistake, that'll drag Silver right back into the fight. Cody Harris still hanging on, and luckily still does not have lap traffic in his sights yet up the road. That won't be coming for about another maybe 10, 20 laps or so, but with how quickly we saw Matt Danson catching lap traffic in the first bit of this race, you know that's not going to be too far off.
Well, and I find it funny that we've seen Matt Danson kind of have this cat and mouse game that he's been playing up at the front. He got cleared on the bottom because of a great restart by Cody Harris, who, by the way, is looking for the first win here. Let's not overshadow that. We saw a first-time season winner in the Cup race Saturday night with Christopher Buescher getting that win. Can Cody Harris do this? But back to my point on Matt Danson, he's just been kind of there, and now that he's getting some laps back under him, he could be the spoiler here because he has nothing to lose as Andrew Freenage is just sending it in there with 55 to go.
Cody Harris making career start number 46 in RealSimRacing competition as a whole here tonight. And as you mentioned, still looking for that elusive first win. He's got plenty of impressive stats to go with what he's been able to do so far in his career. 9 top 5s this year, 14 top 10s. That's tied for second most out of anybody, and now he's got to hold off 2 past RSR champs. Danson has got a Winter Series title to his name. He wants the big one. Freenage looking to continue his 4 times consecutive Cup Series championship streak alive, but they are all chasing Cody Harris, who has secured the most laps led in this race and will take 50 laps to go.
Matt Danson scrambling for the inside line as he tries to get around Cody Harris. Andrew Freenage has started to fall further back. Danson, though, wants that lead back. He wants to make another charge to see if he can't get himself one more win under his belt on the oval side of things. Making that look to the inside, but Harris covered him off. 49 laps to go as we enter the final 5th of racing action tonight. Harris way up to the top shelf, but that's only so we can diamond it off and get a good run down the back straightaway.
Yeah, his line here in 1 and 2 and in 3 and 4 is actually something that we saw with the car of tomorrow. If any of y'all remember some of those Bristol races where everybody was a high side wonder. Everybody wanted to go to the outside, run it, and then kind of swoop it down a little bit to the middle and get a straighter exit, a better launch off the corner. We saw Kyle Busch when he actually swept the weekend here in Truck Xfinity in Cup Series, where he rode that line and he was able to get the forward bite off the exit. The next-gen car has been able to do that a whole lot. Cody Harris is doing it better than anybody with clean traffic in front of him. There's nothing there. As you see a battle for 6 between Connor Horn and David Cobb. Connor Horn, playoff driver, fighting with the guy in the 11 machine who, Evan, has been a thorn in a lot of these playoff drivers' side tonight.
Absolutely. He has been in the mix tonight and does not care. David DeKalb, the highest running non-playoff competitor. He is now your biggest mover in the field, up 14 spots after starting back in the number 20 spot. And, you know, he's trying to hold off guys with a lot on the line. Horn, Burke, Phillip, Nieto, Casto, still a big name to look for as well. And he's pretty locked in on the defensive line. You see behind the challenge, Burke's chilling there. You get Agado Phillip on the inside now with the number 2 machine to his outside of Sam Nieto. And Connor Horn seems to understand that, listen, David DeKalb's not going to leave the top side. I got to do it on the bottom, and he's struggling to do so.
And Phillip looking to really squeeze up Sam Nieto to that top lane, as well as Bradley Burke continues to slow up both of these drivers. You've got all these various battles, and Nieto starting to try to find some way around. Phillip finally has to bail, but not for long as he's going to launch to the inside lane. In front of this train, Connor Horn working on David Cobb in the fight for 6th place. That's checking of everybody in this train so far, and Horn just made the pass work.
Yeah, Horn does whatever Horn wants to do. And I think you see the 11 was kind of holding him up, and now you see the Bradley Burke and Sam Nieto sitting back there as well. How long are they going to let the non-playoff driver sit out in front of them? Are they going to allow the 11, while he is running a good race, he's not running the pace that the drivers behind him are running. He ran a 16.2. Connor Horn passed him, went and ran a 15.8. Which was the 2nd fastest driver on the racetrack. You see a 16.11, a 16.0 for Nieto and Burke, and they're literally sitting behind the 11 machine, who is almost a tenth and a half off of what they're doing. The 2 is going to get the line, and he almost cleared himself, Evan. That almost was another caution.
Almost and not done yet. This battle is far from over. Kolb still holding the top side of the racetrack. The two machine in Nieto has been able to get on through, and now Burke and company want to get there, but here comes Casto up top. Big passes as Casto now no longer on the bubble. He finds himself 8 points to the good. Maybe make it 9. There's another spot. Sean Casto. Big critical passes late in this race.
Casto knows he's got to make these passes where it counts, and he's willing to pick up every single one he can. Next two cars up the road, San Nieto and Connor Horn, but I'm not sure if he'll be able to get both of them before the end of this race. There's only 30 laps left. That's honestly only about 10 minutes or so worth of racing. There's not a lot of time left at all. I think Sean Casto will have to be content with an 8th place finish, but hey, not bad at all if it gets you into the next round of playoff competition. Nick Silver still fighting out with Matt Danson for the 2nd spot, while race leader Cody Harris is caught in traffic.
Yeah, while my Titans might have lost the Monday Night Football game, Brandon Bowie's not out of this playoff fight. While he's 43 laps down, he's only theoretically 3 out. So if something happens to Michael Johnson in the next little bit, and granted, Brandon Bowie's not going to be able to make any passes, but if Michael Johnson loses 3-4 positions, well, lo and behold, Brandon Bowie finds himself in the playoffs, and, well, there's Michael Johnson going a lap down. So, who knows? Yeah, multiple laps down. So who knows? Maybe, just maybe, this could get a little bit wilder if we see another caution.
That is big, the fact that he has fallen 2 laps down, because there are 5 other cars 2 laps down that can pass Johnson, right? There are officially no more positions that Brandon Bowie can gain. Brandon Bowie is 43 laps behind the next closest car. There's only 28 laps in this race. Bowie cannot gain anything. Johnson can only lose. And Johnson would get passed by Stanford, Schmidt, Chambliss, Cato. Those are all other drivers 2 laps down. Papineau is one of them. He just dropped down 3. So Johnson is going to be hanging on for dear life in that fight for the number 12 spot to advance. And I think Johnson would appreciate maybe a yellows to get a lap back and really just slow down the amount of laps that he has to run under green, in which he is off speed at. Freenosh trailing Silver, trailing Danson. They have all dropped, though, a half a second back from Cody Harris, who may finally break through here tonight.
And on cue, Freenosh clears Silver for 3rd down the front straightaway off turn number 4. So a lot of drivers that are good on the long runs starting to make moves quickly as the laps continue to round down the remaining race in the round of 16. Silver trying to do what he can to catch back up to Andrew Freenosh, but last lap by a 10th slower. He cannot contend with the 88 car. All Matt Dance can do is try to keep the 88 at bay now.
Yeah, the 88 starting to make some moves that are putting him in position. He saved some tire. He was one of the fastest drivers on the racetrack. Cody Harris ran a 16.23. He was in that same ballpark of what these other drivers are running, and nobody's faster than the race leader. They're just kind of, they balance themselves out quite a bit here. But I don't want to commentator curse our leader here, but this is well overdue to see a run like this out of that 28 machine. He's been just one of the most down-to-earth people to talk to about not getting a win, and he knows that his time's coming, and hopefully tonight's that night that his time is punched.
We'll see if he can make it just that a little bit further. These 21, now 20 laps to go are going to fly by on the stopwatch, but man, are they going to feel so slow. Cody's going to feel like he's running laps at Talladega. It's going to take so long, and he's got a little bit of traffic to deal with as well, which will further complicate things. So again, plenty of fights still up for grabs throughout the field. You can see Agnew Phillip going underneath Sam Nieto. That's a big one to watch. Johnson has not lost lost any additional spots as well, so that's good for him in hopes of advancing over top Bowie, who had that wreck earlier, and Phillip unable to make the move on the inside. Not shocked by that. Most cars have struggled later in the runs to get the inside to work.
You can see guys like Edgar Phillips still struggling with lap traffic even this late in as he was weaving left to right trying to find a way around. But you've got, more importantly, Sean Casto still trying to hang on to whatever spots he can, as now Grant Davis looking for the inside, but he's going to use Brandon 6 as a pick, so that's going to keep Davis behind him for one more lap. And now Davis has got the high side on him, and this could be the end of Sean Casto's run in 9th place alongside as the 24 car trying to make something happen into 3 and 4. Meanwhile, Ross Cato in the back, he's going to continue to drop down spots.
Yeah, for Ross Cato, I hate to say this, but I would say that his championship bid is over unless a caution comes out. He's going to need a yellow flag to put that 12 machine into the next round. So for Castro and Johnson, just try to stop the hemorrhaging, because this has not necessarily been the race that they wanted. Bowie, he needs some good luck. Michael Johnson actually looks like he's gained a spot from the 16th position. He went past Brandon 6, put himself up to the 15th position, so nobody has lost yet. But if a caution comes out in these final 14 laps, this is somebody have to bring out their calculator, because we're really going to be hunting and fighting for who's going to get in.
Remember, Bowie can't gain anything. Cato could attempt to gain some positions. However, he is 2 laps down. He still needs help. Bradley Burke, somebody else down and in the red right now, needs a lot of help. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like that one's going to play out unless he could somehow win it. But he's down in 11th at the moment, chasing the 2 cars. Still, Nieto trying to play some defense against Grant Davis, who all of a sudden is the highest running non-playoff driver in 8th. He wants to be 7th. Can't get there. And Phillip aggressive off the corner. Look out! And what a move. The 24 at Davis just parked it on playoff car. Agno Phillip apologized over the radio, but I am sure Phillip's heart stopped for a moment.
My heart stopped for a moment upon seeing that, and I think Davis is trying to get around
No.
That's Brandon 6 is out of control. He saves the race car. But what that means is it's going to be spots lost for 6. We'll see if that factors into the playoff bubble at all. Nobody able to get to Johnson. A near accident avoided. 8 laps to go.
I am so sorry. I forgot my mic was hot. That scared the mess out of me. I looked over and said, man, that is the end of the playoff bid for Michael Johnson, because I believe if we get a caution, there is no way with the speed that he's carrying right now that's going to move him into the next round, because he's going to lose a ton of spots if anything happens.
And now we all collectively hold our breaths for the final closing moments of this boosted night race at Bristol. Still a couple of spots for grabs. Freenosh under fire from Lariah. You're looking at the battle involving Agno Phillip. He is trying to get a few more spots, but it's not going to make a big difference in the long run. And there is Johnson on the inside, losing possibly another lap, but not more positions. William Schmidt would be a pass for position. You can see Schmidt approaching Johnson. He's probably going to lose at least one more, but I think Chambliss, the next car to get to Johnson, will be too far away.
That's good news there from Michael Johnson, who is definitely at this point in a bit of a mess here that he needs to try to recover from. So he'll be able to get himself sorted, it looks like, in that 12th spot. We hit 3 laps to go. Danson is closed up on Harris, though, courtesy of lap traffic. This fight for the lead's not over yet. Danson's going to look to the inside of Harris off of 3 and 4. All
of a sudden, in the traffic, he's there.
Yeah, it's far from over. I mean, Matt Danson just came out of nowhere there, but he got stuck up with Harry Grindell. The 70 machine kind of took the lane away from Cody Harris, but how aggressive does Matt Danson get with 1 to go?
And how can they clear the too wide traffic in front? They're going to have to pick a lane. Harris goes high. Danson goes low. White flag in the air. Side by side for the lead. Harris clear. Danson gives a shot. One final opportunity to 3 and 4. Danson gets into him. Can't make it stick. Harris off of 4. Wins the boosted night race at Bristol after 6 runner-up finishes. Cody Harris is a winner in the Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series.
Hell yeah.
What a finish that was. That was one heck of a lunge there, but credit to Danson. He didn't take him out. He realized it was going to stick, and then he backed out. Nearly got wiped out by Chambliss just coming to the white flag off of 1 and 2 this time around. But you got to watch here. Right there's the lunge. He gave him the one hit to try to unsettle him. It didn't work. He didn't force the issue. He did not run Harris into the wall. That's what we call a proper attempt at moving your opponent. That's Bristol racing, and Danson, I think he'll be happy to settle for second place.
What a place to get your first win. It's Bristol. You see champions win this race. I heard that on the broadcast. This is not just a place where people come to gut race and they go, I can win here any chance I get. No, people who are very, very good, people who are championship material, they win at Bristol. Cody Harris, he's had a championship season minus the wins, Evan. This might be a good little string for him.
He is the 86th different winner to find victory lane in the Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series all time, the 112th different winner in all RSR competition. Let's take a look at your Kayla Synthetics full race results from tonight's boosted night race at Bristol. Harris gets the win and advances to the round of 12 in the playoffs. Danson had already had that. He was just looking for more bonus points. Settles for second. A great run for Danson that consists of a P6, a win, and a P2 in this round. Andrew Freenosh's championship hopes continue. He gets a third place finish, his best of the playoffs so far, with Lariah and Silver the top 5. Connor Horn, Sam Nieto at Agnell, Phillip your top 8. Grant Davis, the highest non-playoff car, in 9th, with Sean Casto in P10.
Running down into 11th place, you're going to have Bradley Burke, 15.8 seconds off. David Cobb and Gary Sexton rounded out the cars on the lead lap. Chris Rabel finished it off 1 lap down and only 1 lap down. Then it's Michael Johnson, Schmidt, Cato, all finishing 2 laps down, with Chambliss, Stanford, and Papineau 3 down.
Go back here to the back of the pack. You got Brandon 6, 3 laps down. Braden Whitaker in 22nd. Harry Grindell 23rd. Brandon Fetter placed 24th. Brandon Bowie, tough break, 49 laps down in 25th. Christian Maltrek in 26th. Dylan Jones, Tom Murado, and surprisingly Tom Wetmore shocked his way down there in the 29th position.
Unable to take the green flag, unfortunately, for Wetmore. That's a look at the bottom at your Kayla Synthetics full race results. Kayla Synthetics is an independent dealer of AMSOIL lubricants serving the United States and Canada, providing custom engine lubrication solutions to all types of customers, from private individuals to race teams, hauling fleets, and everything in between. They have the products and expertise to help you save time and money. Dealer number 300771815. Well, let's go down to boosted Full Throttle Cup Series victory lane at the Bristol Motor Speedway, because Cody Harris is a Real Sim Racing Cup Series winner. Cody, congrats on the win, and talk about the timing. A great round for you, and you end it with an exclamation point here with your first career win, and you obviously guarantee yourself into the next round of the championship.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I was glad it went green. I feel like it's been a long time coming. I actually thought it might have been more likely on a road course, but I don't know if I could ever beat Danson. I've given him a run for his money a couple of times, but he always seems to pull it out. And it was kind of ironic that we were battling there again at the end. But my strategy was, if I kind of knew how the tires worked, and then I figured out something in the middle of the race that I had never done before. And I was doing that, and then I knew that if I could get out front and keep control, that I'd have a pretty good shot at winning. But it's a good timing, too, for the playoffs.
Yeah, very nice how this one works out for you. Tell us about this race, right? Danson starts on a pole. He rockets out to an early lead. Then you started to close things in a little bit. And then on the next run, you were able to get the early lead. Seemed like he was trying to save tires. But, you know, he came at you late with 50 to go, backed off a little bit. Obviously, contact on the last lap. Were you guys trying to save tires? What was behind the ebbs and flows as you two kind of swapped out the race lead?
Yeah, the beginning run, I for sure, especially with it still being daylight out, the track was a little warmer, so the car just felt a little tighter and more likely to burn off the right front. So I was just kind of taking it easy and then got into a rhythm there and kind of ran them down. And that caution came out, and then the restarts, everyone I knew would be aggressive. And the top lane for the first couple laps was very dominant on a restart, unless you were the lead car. So that's why I kind of just rode behind Danson for a couple of laps. And when people started going the outside behind me, I didn't want to lose a whole lot of track position and get in the dirty air. So then I just decided to try and take the lead, and it went well from there. And then that last run, I wasn't trying to save a whole lot. I found a line that was not burning the tires off too bad.
Well, you talk about, you know, you thought this may have come on a road course. You've had second place finishes at Watkins Glen, at Coda, at Sonoma. In fact, Coda twice. But now to get the win, and not only that, but a fifth place finish for the last 2 weeks mean that you get a top 5 in every single race in the round of 16. If those numbers continue, there is no reason that you and the 28 car are not fighting for the championship at Phoenix. So what is going to be the key as we move forward to the next set of 3 races as we go to Texas, Talladega, and the Charlotte Roval?
I think the Charlotte Roval should be a good race for me. It's actually not one of my best road courses, I would say, but I feel like I can do pretty well there. Just survive Talladega with the good finish, and I'm not sure what will be in store for Texas.
We're looking forward to seeing whatever comes next as the playoffs move on to the round of 12. But at least for us here tonight at Bristol, Cody, you have finally gotten that elusive win in the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series. Who do you want to thank for making it possible?
I just want to thank all my friends and family for watching, and you guys for putting this on. This is probably the most fun I have on iRacing, and it's a great group of guys, and a great group to be a part of.
You're the winner of the boosted night race at Bristol, Cody. We appreciate you being here with us on a Monday nights, and congratulations on a well-deserved win.
Thank you.
Your race winner tonight here from Bristol. 3 races and 3 different winners. The round of 16 ends with Cody Harris's first career RSR win. Second place tonight belongs to Matt Danson. He had already gotten victory earlier in this round. In fact, just a week ago at Kansas, Nolan, but he almost walked away with a little bit extra. Second tonight, you're with him.
He certainly did, and Matt, it was quite the effort for you in those last couple laps, running down Cody Harris and then going for that last corner dive bomb. Little bit of contact, but he managed to pull the one over on you. Why don't you walk us through what that last lap was like?
Hey, Nolan, as well. Hi, welcome back. Yeah, that one stings a little bit because it just the real problem for me started, 100 laps or 150 laps before that when I gave up track position on that sort of second long green run after how well I knew I had really good pace, and I thought, you know what, let's just take it easy on this second one, because by the time I got to the lap traffic, it was a little bit troublesome to navigate them. I wanted to have a little bit more in the bank to be able to cut under and get through. So thought I'd save a bit more and gave up track position to Cody and Drew, and it was just so hard to get it back, like when Cody was running the top, and so just a foolish sort of play by me there, and then I overshot the pits on that last overshot the box on that last pit stop, so that was unfortunate. But as far as the finish, I knew I had a little bit more in the bank. I sort of, there was a part of the run where he was pulling away from me, and I was just like, where is the line? And then I found it, and I started to just ever so slowly get him, and all I needed was a little sniff, and we got that with some lap traffic, and I got to him, and I thought I had him pinned pretty well, to be honest, behind those lap cars that were up high, coming to take the white. I thought they're like I sort of had with the eye test, I'd seen that they were sort of struggling those lap cars up ahead. So if I could just pinch him behind, I might be able to get that pass done. And then yeah, I think it's lap car decided to take in their own hands to decide who won, but by just parking on the bottom and then driving me up the track, almost into Cody actually. But and then yeah, the last corner I was going to try and throw a slider, but he rightfully he sent it in there pretty deep too, probably anticipating that exact move. So we made a little bit of door to door, but I was never going to turn him and take the win. It was never going to happen like that. So awesome to see Cody get his first win though. Like he definitely deserves it. He's driven incredible for a year and a half, 2 years now. He's a great competitor, and yeah, it's very well deserved.
And obviously, luckily for you, you did manage to pull out the win at Kansas just 1 week ago, and that promoted you up into the round of 12. So there's not really any concern for you here tonight. Obviously, though, you've got 3 races coming on up to get you into the round of 8. It's Texas, Talladega, and then, of course, the Roval. We know how good you are on the road courses, but do you think the plan's going to be to lock it up a little bit earlier than that round 26 as well?
Well, I had to come here tonight to kind of bring some respect to my name. Terry doubted me. He said I'm not an oval guy. So I had to come here and prove myself, and I feel like I showed a bit of oval nous. I hope when I got the whole feel at the start there. But yeah, look, I think I'm all right on the oval side. Talladega obviously is a lottery. Texas only has one corner, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty confident at Roval, but who knows? That's sort of one of those tracks where anything can happen. I'd like to think. I mean, ultimately, I need to be good on oval, right? Because the last how many tracks? 3. The last round, and then the Phoenix. Obviously, they're all ovals, so it doesn't mean jack if you're good at road when it comes down to it. So. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I think, I finished. I should have had a top 5 at Darlington, but kind of roasted my stuff there. P6, P1, P2, not a bad run of form heading into the next rounds.
Telling that like it is. That's why I love always being able to get the chance to interview you here, Matt. But obviously, it's been a pleasure to talk to you once again. And you still did a good job to get the second place tonight and the win last week. Hopefully, you'll be getting yourself one more win in the round of 12 to get yourself up into the round of 8. We'll see you at Texas.
Thank you.
That was Matt Danson from Logitech G Altus Esports after a one heck of a Hail Mary dive bomb up the inside of Cody Harris on the last lap. Bit further, though, down the order, it's going to be multi-time defending champion Andrew Freenage finishing over a second back. Terry, you've got our third-place finisher.
What's up, Andrew? P3 tonight.
Yeah, I'm happy to run up front on my birthday, so I'm just happy to move on to the next round. Had a good run. Still missing a little bit in these cars. Still trying to understand them, but this might be the most strongest run we've had since they put the brake cylinder thing in there. So it's step in the right direction, and hopefully we can start to figure this thing out a little more.
Well, since it's your birthday, how old are you here?
I'm 25 today.
Oh, well, it only goes up from here, I promise. So you talked about that this is your best finish, in a while, and I don't say that in a negative way. I said it on the broadcast that we haven't really seen the 88 put a lot of races together. Is this the catapult that's going to take you into the round of 12? That's going to say, okay, Andrew Freenage is back.
Yeah, I don't know. Truthfully, like I said at the start of this year, this car is not really my favorite at all. A sponsorship kind of came around, a deal came around to run this year. I really didn't plan on running, and the focus has been on Road to Pro, so this doesn't get as much practice as in the past, and I really hate to say that because it's kind of what my thing is practicing, but all the time's been in Road to Pro, so and I'm just behind with this car. These guys are so talented. Matt, Cody, Kevin, who wasn't here tonight. I just, we're like a 10th place car every week, so put some time in this week, and it definitely yielded results, but I need to put a lot more in because that little bit is going to take a lot more practice. So depending on what happens with Road to Pro, we'll see. We got 2 weeks left of that, so yeah, this is kind of on the side until that ends, and then you never know, we might be able to step it back up.
Well, yeah, Road to Pro it's close to being over. You got Texas. and then we wrap that up, and then I don't remember if you're in competition to go to contender or not, but if you make contender, obviously contender becomes the focus. But do you think that 50% Andrew Freenage is better than most?
I would say no. These guys are so talented, and they've learned the car, and I mean, this league has just gotten so much better over all the years, and I'm so proud to see the competition, how good it is now. So I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that that's good enough. We need to be giving 90 to 100%, if not 110%, to beat some of these guys. So I'm just happy to be here, happy to run top 3 tonight, and like I said, we need to put more effort into it, and I'm hoping we can get some more free time to do it. And if not, we're trying to make pro, so that's kind of the focus.
Well, that makes sense. I was trying to get you a little bit to, pull a little cockiness, but whatever. What do you got next week? Texas on the horizon. Where do we see Andrew Freenage next week?
Texas has been a pretty good track for us. We're gonna have to see. I like the older Texas better, but the newer Texas is kind of growing on me. So definitely have some confidence. We're gonna turn a lot of laps there in a truck. So hopefully that converts to a cup car, and we'll see where we stand.
Well, Andrew Freenage, it's always a pleasure talking to you. We'll see you next week at the Texas Motor Speedway, where the round of that 12 starts.
Yeah, thanks so much. I do want to say a big thank you to Paul for spotting every single race this year. He's been a big help, and all the drivers in this league, Evan for putting it on, and just all the fans for watching. I hope we put on a good show for you guys.
For everybody out there in the chat, wish out Andrew Freenage happy birthday and a P3. Nolan, this has been fun.
It sure has been fun, and unfortunately Evan having a little bit of technical difficulties on his end. Hopefully we'll get those sorted before the end of the night, but it has been a fantastic race so far all throughout the night, and we saw how exciting that a Bristol race can be. It's not every driver's favorite track, whether that be in the real world or here in the sim as well, but it can still put on one amazing show whether you like it or hate it. Terry, honestly, I don't think we could have asked for probably a better race tonight. Low caution count, but still a whole lot of battles throughout the night.
Yeah, that's kind of what you look for at Bristol. You look for a good side-by-side fix. You like to see a good race for the finish. You want to see a little bit of contact being made, and you want to see respect. And yeah, I gave Matt Danson some crap and thought, okay, you're not necessarily known for your oval side, but he proved me wrong. He came out here and he was so respectful to Cody Harris. He knew he was in a position for his first wins, and he didn't take him out. He just gave him just a little bit of a nudge, kissed him just a tad bit, and that's just the respect here in the Real Sim Racing series. Is everybody's just so kind and so respectful, but it's Bristol, and sometimes you gotta wreck somebody like Kurt Busch and Jimmy Spencer.
Bristol, get to Bristol. Let's take a look at what our playoff standings are exiting tonight at the Boosted Bristol Night Race. Again, it is official. Ross Cato, Brandon Bowie, Bradley Burke, and Tom Wetmore are the 4 drivers eliminated from championship contention. That's the one that went all the way down to what ended up being a 3-point margin. Johnson in, Cato out. So, of course, your race winners this round, Kevin King, Matt Danson, and Cody Harris, all going to get a 3-point bonus to start the next round. Everybody else gonna reset to 3,000. They'll be joined by Agatha Phillip, Nick Silver, Brandon Six, Andrew Freenage, Michael Araya, Sam Nieto, Connor Horn, Sean Casto, and Michael Johnson. And as we outlook to the round of 12, guys, Texas, Dega, the Roval, still a lot of names left, but big names fell this round. I saw Bowie going late. Certainly could have seen Wetmore, Burke, and Cato doing more if they had performed at their top level, and that margin for error going to get smaller and smaller. I'll go to you first, Terry, on this one for our outlook to the round of 12.
Well, Texas sucks. I'll say that one out loud. Nolan didn't like Kansas. I can't stand Texas. I think this track needs to be bulldozed into a Ferris wheel. But Dega and the Roval, 2 wild cards in this race, in this round. I could potentially see, and I know this is going to sound crazy, 3 upset winners coming in this spot here. Danton probably is going to win the Roval, but I could potentially see a surprise winner in all three, and we could maybe potentially do what the Cup Series did in the first round, in the second round here in RSR.
You wouldn't be shocked by it at all, Nolan. There have been 3 different winners in the 3 races of this round. There's a lot of heavy hitters that were kept out of victory lane, so they're going to want to prove a point. And again, we're going to get more to the point where, listen, top 15s aren't good enough. I think next round we're going to be talking about you need top 10s. And then the round after that, we're going to be talking about you need top 5s. So those margins are going to get smaller and smaller. And certainly, I think this championship's heating up. And hopefully everybody joins us on Mondays for the ride.
It absolutely is heating up, and you know that it's going to be one of those battles that's going to rage on right down to the checkered flag in Phoenix. There is no way that this championship is going to be decided in the round of 12 or even in the round of 8. But those 12 racers in the next 3 weeks, they are absolutely going to need to pull out all the stops, especially at tracks like Talladega, where quite literally anybody has a chance at going for a win.
And to go back to what NASCAR used to call the rounds, I think the round of 12, I'm going to dub it as the round where we find out who's a contender and who's a pretender. I think it's time to step up to the plate, and I think it's time to put your best foot forward. And I think Kevin King, Matt Danson, and Cody Harris have all done exactly that. But until next time, that is it for us tonight from iRacing's virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. On behalf of our entire team at RealSimRacing and RaceSpotTV, for our great partners tonight in not only Kayla Synthetics, but our friends at Boosted.biz for being the title sponsor of this Boosted Night race, and for your team tonight, for our producer downstairs, Joshua Lee, for Terry Radford, Nolan Rempel, and myself, Evan Pasoko. I want to thank you for tuning in and congratulate Cody Harris, a first-time RSR winner. Roll on next Monday, September the 26th, for the virtual Texas Motor Speedway. That race and every race of the round of 12 and of the full throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series playoffs can be found exclusively here on RaceSpot TV. Till then, good night from Thunder Valley.